Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jim Kleiber Show. Today is Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. In the United States, it is Inauguration Day. Joseph R. Biden II is now Joseph R. Biden II. Joseph R. Biden Jr. I didn't sleep much last night. Joseph R. Biden Jr. is now the President of the United States, and Kamala Harris is now the Vice President of the United States. The event seemed to go off without a hitch. There were no security concerns either there or, from what I've heard, around the country at any of the Capitol buildings throughout the country. So I feel tremendously relieved that there wasn't violence, and quite hopeful that there wasn't violence. It renews my faith in some ways. Some people who are so adamant against Biden being elected are now saying that we have to recognize reality, that Biden is now the president, and that we have to accept it and go forward from there. And it's just this massive feeling of relief, like this huge exhale. So I feel grateful that it went off without a hitch. I feel grateful that we are starting to come together to appreciate and recognize what has happened in terms of transition of presidents. And I just feel overall relieved. I think for the last 4 years, I've had this feeling of being in a car with somebody else as a passenger, and almost as if the driver were either drunk or just very aggressively driving. And I didn't know if the driver was going to play chicken with somebody else on the road. I didn't know if the driver was going to go really fast, or I don't know if the driver was going to... I really didn't know what the driver was going to do with the car. And that unpredictability, would keep me up. It's like being on a long ride, either as a passenger in a car or a passenger in a bus, and just not trusting the predictability of the driver. And this has happened to me many times when I used to live in East Africa. I'd take a long bus ride, and the bus driver would be so aggressive, would be trying to go really, really fast, or would like cut people off, or would swerve in different lanes, and would it would pass cars very closely. And I can remember sometimes, just even if it were like an 18 or 24-hour bus ride, just sitting there with my eyes wide open, terrified something bad was going to happen. And then when the driver would shift and it would get to kind of, the very calm, kind of steady-handed, maybe slower-moving driver, I could just feel so much of my body just relax and say, okay, I can rest now. I can close my eyes, I can sleep, and I can feel confident that we'll probably arrive safely. And that's how I feel right now. Just this very large exhale that things will be more predictable. Somebody said it on Twitter. They said, yes, POTUS, the President of the United States Twitter account, is going to be boring again. And they were so excited. Other people saying, now I can finally retreat back into my ivory tower in the academic world. I mean, kind of the irony and the funny, basically saying, I can go start arguing about other things that don't relate to politics, that relate to academia and things. And just, I don't know. I've never watched an inauguration like I watched it today. I think this year has made so many of us feel so helpless, so powerless, sitting in our homes or going out, just not knowing if we were going to succumb to the virus, if we were going to succumb to job loss, if we were going to succumb to police or political violence, not knowing what harms would face us, and not really having the agency to do much about it, or at least feeling that way. And I think so many of us look to this inauguration just for guidance, for hope, for some semblance of, we got this, some semblance of belief, confidence, and kind of groundedness. That we're not floating in the air, that we're not swaying back and forth, that we have our feet firmly planted in the ground, and that we will march step by step and move through this together. Listen, I don't think Joe Biden is the best speaker on the planet. It further confirmed it as I listened to the young poet speak and the pastor speak just after Biden spoke. And yet I think he has a role to bring this country together, to play the coach. I've said this before, to be the coach that strings together the best team, maybe the general manager, whatever your term for it is, the person who really brings together the talent to play all the positions, and to nurture that talent, and to nurture the teamwork, to build the team, to rebuild the team. We talk about it as a country, and I think sometimes it can get lost when we think about it at such large levels. But to break it down and to bring it to closer levels, to talk about it as a team, to talk about it as a family, to reunite the family, to reunite the team, to make sure that we are working and doing what we're good at, and relying on other people to do what they're good at, and trusting each other, to balance each other, and to see things that we don't see, and to call us out on those things. To let us know when we hurt each other, to let us know when we help each other, to express our pain, to express our joy, to express our anger, to express our gratitude. And I just feel so hopeful right now. We've lost over 400,000 people in this country directly to COVID-19, and I don't know how many we've lost indirectly through suicide, through homicide, through other diseases of despair. But if I believe in what I've been saying the last couple of years, is that sometimes conflict can make us feel even more connected. That sometimes we have to go through the pain to realize just how close we are to each other, just how much we need each other. More people have died directly from COVID-19 in this country than died in World War II. And this was 1 year of COVID-19 compared to 4 years of World War II. I think it's time we start to talk about the things that cause us pain. I think it's time that we start opening up about how we're actually feeling, and show our humanity to other people. We're so afraid that other humans are going to realize that we're humans. I feel hopeful. I wouldn't say confident, because confident means I know it. Hopeful means I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I think something good's going to happen. And I don't know how, and I don't know when, but I think something good will happen. That's how I feel today. Could be the very little sleep I got last night. It could be the mimosa I had this morning to celebrate. It could just be hearing and seeing so many people express the need for unity, express the desire for unity, and not talk about it in such a kind of a superficial way, but to really go deep and to talk about what it means, to pause and take a moment of silence for the people who have lost their lives and for the people who are here struggling because those dear friends lost their lives. And for all those who are filled with fear for what the future may bring, who feel hopeless and think that they don't know what's going to happen, but they think something bad is going to happen. Or terrified, don't know what's going to happen, but I think something really bad is going to happen. We need each other, whether we want to admit it or not. As they say, as one author said, no man is an island. Man, I gotta get better at quoting people. As one author said, I don't know, was it a poet, was it an author? I have no idea. I think it was Robert Louis Stevenson. That's my guess, but I think it's off. But and we aren't islands. That we build upon each other. That culture, that technology, that society itself is a collective effort, and that language itself is a collective effort. If we don't have other people, we don't have language. Language is just shared understanding, shared interpretation of symbols and signs, right? So sounds, that we took a certain sound, certain means a certain thing to us who understand the language. And it's an agreement between people, amongst people. So we need each other, not only in the bad times, but in the good times. How fun is it to have a victory, to feel triumphant, and then have no one to share it with? You know? To feel on top of the world and look around and realize that there's no one else there to see you. There's no one else there to shake your hand, to give you a hug, to give you a kiss, to smile with you, to laugh with you, to pump your fists together. You know? It's not we just need people when we're down. We need people when we're up too. I feel lucky to have been born in this country. Not that I think this country is better than other countries. I just feel very grateful for how we've worked together for so many years. And we've had our troubles, we've had our fights, but we don't let these fights tear us apart. It amazes me. I feel lucky to have been in a family where my parents, the same way, they have their fights, they have their struggles, but the family stays together. I just feel lucky. So, how are you feeling today? I can talk a lot about myself. I can talk a lot about what I imagine other people are feeling. But sometimes I like to just pause and ask, how are you feeling right now? Because it may be very different for some. Some may be feeling the same level of relief or same level of excitement or just hope. Others may be feeling hopeless. Others may be feeling anger. Others may be feeling terrified or afraid or destroyed or brokenhearted. It's hard to know if we don't tell each other. I met with a professor a couple years ago from the University of Michigan named Jane Dutton, and she was working on research about compassion in organizations. And at one point, this analogy popped into my mind. It was this idea that compassion in an organization is kind of like the immune system in the body. So in the body, from my understanding, if there is a point that is experiencing pain or trauma or damage, then the first step is for the body, or that point, to tell the rest of the body that it is experiencing pain. and basically say, I'm experiencing pain and I need help. Only then can the body respond and provide help. So I think so often we want people to be compassionate with us, but we don't tell them that we're struggling. We don't tell them that we're facing so much pain and anguish in whichever aspect of our lives. And then we expect them to know why and how we're struggling. I don't think Joe Biden is going to be the perfect president. I don't think there is a perfect president. What I hope is that Joe Biden will help to change the emotional flavor, the tone of the nation, and that will provide that stability, that energy that makes so many of us feel safe to open up and talk about our pain. If there's one thing that Joe Biden seems to know and seems to feel very comfortable talking about, it's pain and loss. And I think so many of us are experiencing deep pain and deep loss, and for years have felt afraid to express it. We thought we were going to get laughed at. We thought we were going to be humiliated. We thought we were going to be kicked out of the group for opening up and showing how we're feeling, especially on the sadness. I hope, if anything, that Joe Biden's presidency will give us the permission to say how we're feeling, to give us the permission to open up, especially about the pain, especially about the loss, to show others how, even if on the surface we look like we have everything together, sometimes deep down we are feeling a lot of sadness. And that it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to care about the things that we lost. It says that we really love them. So I hope that's one of the main things that we'll get out of this presidency. Is that not only here in the US, but around the world, we can really pause, slow down a little bit, and have the courage to show how we're suffering. Because I believe so strongly that it is in suffering that we bond. We bond so strongly when we open up and share our pain. Doesn't seem like it all the time, right? It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. And that's why I do feel hopeful for what will happen in the next 4 years as Biden is president, because as much as I don't think he has the oratory skills of a Barack Obama or some of the other people we heard speak today, he may not say it, but he feels it. And I trust in his ability to hold us as a nation, to hold us as a globe, as a world. Just give us a hug when we need it. Just pat us on the shoulder and say it'll be okay. It's been a hard year on so many of us, and it will continue to be difficult. Let's remember that it's okay to struggle. It's okay to cry. It's okay to slow down, to pause, and to reflect on what we've lost, and hopefully realize what it can help us gain. Whew. On that note, I am going to lift up this glass of pink champagne. I don't know why we got pink champagne. This is a leftover from New Year's Eve. I told myself I wasn't going to drink all of January, and then my sister said, "Oh, but you're not going to have one on the inauguration day?" And I said, "Oh, that's a good idea." So I haven't had alcohol last 3 weeks, but today I think it's important for us to just pause and not celebrate the victory of Joseph R. Biden Jr., but to celebrate the victory of a peaceful transition of power and for a commitment to stay together, to come back together as a nation. We will come apart, but sometimes it's more about coming back together. And I feel grateful for knowing that so many of us want that so deeply in our hearts. So deeply. Oh man, I get really stressed on language. Anyways, to that I say cheers. May we show our humanity more to each other this year and for the following years. Cheers. Thank you all for joining. This was my 105th episode. Wow. 105 episodes. I got a new backdrop, same shirt, short beard, hair's chaos. Thank you all for joining, and thank you all for being here with me. I often don't know who listens or who watches the show, and I just want to say, no matter what you do, no matter what you're going through, no matter how you look, no matter what you have or don't have, I still care about you. I'll always care about you. There's nothing you can do that will make me not care about you. So I hope you remember that. And I am grateful for you being here, listening to me, watching me, caring about me, showing me love, even if you don't think that you're doing it. Thank you. Until tomorrow.